Hey everyone, happy Thursday. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Xandra, your host and the community manager of CharmVerse. For those of you not familiar, CharmVerse is a Web3 community platform for managing members, coordinating tasks, facilitating decisions, and holding each other accountable. Members sign in with crypto wallets and gain access via community tokens and NFTs, and it brings together onboarding, payment management, proposals, project trackers, and data repositories all in one place. So today I have Charlie and Nikki of Decent.xyz with me today. I'm very excited to introduce you to this project if you're not already familiar. So let's bring them up on stage. Hi, you two. Thanks for joining me today.
Hey, Xandra, thanks for having us. Excited to be here.
Yeah, really excited to be chatting. Nikki, good to be chatting with you again.
Hello, how are we doing today?
I am doing well. Well, I am recovering after East Denver. I came home with a terrible chest cold, and today is the first day I'm kind of back to life. But glad to be so. Charlie, where are you based? I know Nikki's in Denver.
Yep. So a similar story. I had a great time out in Denver, like maybe a lot of you on this space, but I'm based in New York City.
Nice. So you did make it out to East Denver, but
Sure did.
came home sick?
Maybe a little bit less so than you, but I think everyone was, a little bit worse for wear by the end of the week.
Oh, yeah, they're exhausting weeks. They are exhausting weeks, but you definitely always leave like energized in the space, but needing a lot of sleep. Nikki, how was your week?
It was really good. I'm really sad that I didn't get a chance to see you IRL. I know we talked about it, but yeah, the week was just absolutely crazy. But it was really awesome to see everybody in my city for that I talked to on this app all day, every day, and see them in person, which is really cool. And we had a lot of awesome events that Decent was a part of, and just like a lot of cool people that we met. And so I somehow made it out unscathed with the flu, but I think it's because I am home. But sending you all of the healing energy and rest and recovery your way.
Well, thank you. I will take all I can get. I'm on the other side of it, which I'm very glad for. But yeah, listeners, if you've never been to one of these Web3 conferences, it really is a great time to connect with people, whether you're working in the space or you're just interested in the space. People are so friendly. There's so many side events happening. It's just a really great way to get in touch with this community and learn more. And everyone is happy to share their knowledge. So if you have the opportunity to attend one of these, you should do it. It's fantastic. And like I said, it leaves everyone energized and ready to just move forward and excited about what they're doing. All right, so let's dig into it. Charlie, you are the founder of Decent. Nikki, you are head of community and wear many hats over there. So let's dig in. Charlie, why don't you tell us what Decent is all about?
Yeah, for sure. Happy to. So, at Decent, we really believe that the next evolution of NFTs is going to be, they're going to be used as puzzle pieces to facilitate a broader application or composability between apps. So to that end, we've built what we hope to be the go-to tool set for creators to not only, launch their NFT projects, but also manage those projects, integrate them into other applications, and really get the most out of them on a number of levels, both ranging from financial to, community access to identity to all these other vectors where NFTs have pretty interesting applications that are still, in the very early days. So if you look at, Decent today, it really comes in three parts. The top level is our creator studio. So this is where we'll have a lot of non-technical creators come, really design highly customizable NFT projects, release them through our no-code tools across Ethereum, Optimism, Arbitrum, and Polygon. And then we generate collection pages, have an explore page so that collectors can actually collect all these NFTs. One level down, we have a JavaScript SDK. So, everything that's powering the HQ is ultimately part of the Decent protocol, which is our set of NFT smart contracts that include both NFT release mechanisms. So, like a 721 that probably a lot of you have heard of before, to also like utility wrappers like renting and staking, where you can start to apply new functionality to actually like existing and even quite old NFTs. And all of that functionality is accessible for even non-Solidity developers via the SDK. And it's ultimately that level plus our APIs aggregating activity across the protocol that kind of make Decent tick at across the various levels and user sets.
Awesome. And Decent can be used by, you could be a newbie, you could be a degen. Really, you're there to help creators and developers just build and customize their project using your tools, templates, applications.
Totally. So, this week we ran a creator grants competition that some of you might have seen with Reveal, where we had 55 artists upload their music as open editions, and collectors are coming to a custom mint page that we have aggregating all the activity there, and the project with the most amount of mints, as in the most amount of votes for support, will win a nice prize. So that's like the full no code experience being integrated in like a pretty cool specific use case. And then part of the reason we're on this call is obviously big fans of what you all are doing at CharmVerse. And for to work with a project like you all, it's really like the SDK that's a much better solution so that you guys can customize exactly what you need and fit it to your interface.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to jump into some of the stuff that, like how we're talking integrations, which I'm really excited about. And we'll get into that a little bit. But let's talk about some of the unique features that you offer, like the ability to, of differentiated pricing and community functionality. Can you elaborate what these two terms mean?
Yeah, I'm happy to. Maybe Nikki, I can hit pricing, and then you can chat about how that filters into the community and types of things you've seen. So we think that we are always like very curious around like the price discovery for NFTs, so that creators can really not only like maximize their financial value, but also like appropriately maximize like the reach of their community, as noted by like the number of NFTs in folks' wallets. So to that end, like pricing becomes a pretty interesting factor. We have a few different mechanisms that extend a little bit beyond just sort of the fixed price primary sale. So one that we released last year, which we've had a good deal of fun with, is we call Crescendo. So with this mechanism, the NFT price starts at a certain price, so it's typically quite low. Call it like 0.01 ETH. And then with each new sale, the price will actually tick up according to some fixed rate. So let's say like the second one is 0.02, the third is 0.03, and so on and so forth, providing like a nice way for collectors to actually facilitate price discovery. The other one that we're quite excited about on a fairly different dimension is rentable NFTs. So this hits at like a slightly broader thesis where we think it's pretty important that collectors are going to be having the ability to earn based on their continued engagement and participation in that community. So they're giving them the option to basically redeem some of the value they've created by renting their NFT out versus having to sell the NFT outright, is another pretty interesting innovation on the pricing side that we're pretty excited to roll out with a few other projects in the coming weeks.
Yeah, rentables are probably one of the things I'm most excited for when it comes to decent contracts. But more on the community side as well, is something that we have enacted with CharmVerse too. Is the ability to token gate experiences as a creator, and in order to really build out your community and your ecosystem. We're seeing that a lot of creators are wanting to like kind of tier their experience as a creator to maybe releasing a non-financial NFT as like a celebratory or commemorative event will get them access into your ecosystem. But then, the more that you engage with these NFTs, whether it's you're a musician and this person has X amount of NFTs, they get access to exclusive content, or ownership of even one gives you the opportunity to just access anything that a creator really wants to, keep near and dear, and, really provide a level of, gamified experience, as well as, make it exciting to be involved in the community through various NFT experiences.
I love that. And I love hearing about more and more projects that are really getting behind creators and helping them engage their community and monetize their content. I think it's really important. what you're doing for these creators. So I want to break down some of these specific examples of people and how they're using Decent, because I think it's important to kind of give specific examples. I think it resonates with people. So I was going to give you some examples, and maybe you can give some insights on how these people are using Decent. Sound
Let's
good?
do it.
Cool. Awesome. So let's see. Amanda Francis. I saw a case study on your website. This would be an example of differentiated pricing, right?
Yes. So she was actually the first artist that we released the crescendo mechanism with. So, there was this big narrative last year, for those of you that remember, around like having your initial set of NFTs sell out really, really quickly. The problem with that is like not only some of the, hype momentum that creates like some strange incentives in the market, but also it forces creators to actually leave like quite a bit of value on the table. So, let's say if your NFT sells out in under a second, you probably could have sold a lot more NFTs. And there's a very big difference between, primary sale value to a creator and secondary. Like, so on a secondary sale, you're only going to receive whatever the royalty percentage is, if that these days. So there's but the fact remains, like, if the problem is like creators are leaving a lot of value on the table. The bonding curve, so that's crescendo. We were excited to release with Amanda because it let her capture all of the value, that she would be able to redeem, in a method that put like no emphasis at all on the sellout. Like it wasn't even possible. It gave collectors like an interesting new mechanism to interact with. So we ended up seeing Amanda, actually recapture and retain like quite a bit more of the value that she would have under, what had been like the prevailing, call it 20 to 30 NFT release last spring.
Amazing. So you mentioned royalty-backed NFTs, and that takes me to my next example of Forrester, which is a band, a duo. And royalty-backed NFTs, as far as I understand, are kind of a game changer because I feel like royalties generated in Web3 are more lucrative than those in traditional music platforms like Spotify or Apple Music. Is that true? And can you explain more on how those work?
Yeah, see, you're actually asking this question at a really interesting time, and maybe you can give some alpha on this space. So the original NFT release with Forrester, and Forrester is actually one of the Decent co-founders as well. So one of our best friends, was he listed 20% of his royalties to this song Spark, which was the best performing song off of his album Kerosene, for the next 5 years. So, if you purchase one of the NFTs in that collection, like you will receive some percentage of royalties from like Spotify and streaming platforms over the listing period. That was our original product. All of the tools to replicate that are still in the Decent protocol. However, we as a company have moved away from it for a few reasons. However, one thing that we have had quite a bit of demand for in recent months is the ability for creators to actually like reward and thank their collectors by recycling a percentage of the trading royalties back out to that community. For those of you familiar with like the Nouns ecosystem, it tends to share like similar motivations to a set of community members governing a shared treasury, each with mutual incentives to grow its value and strengthen the community by association. So we will be returning with Forrester in the next few months, with a mechanism that basically enacts that. And we internally call this like synthetic royalties. However, we'll see if the name sticks. I don't know. Nikki might have some ideas about that.
I'm curious to see how the royalty game shakes out in Web3. Obviously, we want to take more of this money and really reward our creators, artists for what they're doing, and let them really monetize their content. So I'm curious to see how it shakes out.
Totally. And actually, like while we're on the royalty point, bringing it back to rentables, like another really interesting part about rentals is the creators can take a royalty on each rent as well. So we view this as like one of the many reasons to be excited about rentables. So when you think about like why royalties are such a hot topic right now, like why some platforms are electing not to enforce them, it comes down to like two main issues. The first is the existence of the royalty is essentially a transaction fee for people market making the NFTs, and all of these marketplaces are really what they really need is like very deep liquidity. So it's hard to attract that when it is difficult to be like flipping the NFTs and trading them at a high velocity. The second, though, is a little bit more interesting, which is some creators and communities like can become like pretty disillusioned with NFTs and creator royalties when the creator actually like does pull the rug out from under the collection. Like the price starts to spiral on the floor prices start to death spiral, and the creator, like while actively sort of working against their community, is still profiting off of each sale down to zero. This is something that Rentable solve for quite well. So, a royalty on a rent, it will theoretically only happen so long as the creator is like delivering continued value. So we view them as like extremely incentive aligned for community members. You could have all of the royalties occur on rentals so that there's no actual fee on the trading, so that there is no penalty on how quickly these NFTs can be traded and the market making abilities there. Um, and then the final bit is it's actually like we anticipate it being fairly easy to enforce royalties on rentals, just because most rents will require like a good deal of context to occur. So let's say like I wanted to go see a live stream concert, but I needed an NFT to enter. Instead of purchasing outright, I could just like rent someone's NFT, but I'll do that on the concert site, giving like the actual host venue like pretty good authority to decide, whether they want to enforce the royalties on those or not. And they will have much fewer incentives to ignore those. So that's my monologue on royalties. But as you can tell, we're quite excited about rentals.
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea of rentals. So like it can work that I can't make it to East Denver, but I have a specific NFT that gets me into this exclusive event. I could say, "Hey, Nikki, I'm not going to be there, but I have it. Why don't you rent this for me so you can go to this event?" Which is very cool, that you can really support the event, you can support the creator of the NFT, but also share with your friends and make sure, share the love really all around, which is pretty cool. Nikki, you and I recently co-wrote an article together, which I'm going to shout out a little later, but I wanted to talk to you about on-chain memberships and how they're revolutionizing how artists can generate income. Can you tell us how Decent is facilitating this?
Absolutely. So, with the on-chain memberships, it kind of goes back to just one of the many, many ways that rentables can be utilized for creators, overall ecosystem, and just again with more so community engagement. But from the creator side of things, on-chain memberships we're seeing be used, as again with the tier system, or just kind of like a try before you buy, access into your community. So one of the I'm working with a creator at the moment who is using the rentals for their wellness club, to where they can determine by tier, this, using a rental, you pay out, or they set the duration of that membership. So whether it's a month, 3 months, a year, etc., and can discount by day how much this is paid out, given, if somebody wants to do a longer membership. But that way they can essentially automate and generate the earnings from those memberships straight back to themselves, as they are the holder of the rental, rather than using it for their holders to gain value and them gain royalties off of that way. So it's just, again, one of the many ways that rentables can be utilized and accessed, both from the creator as the holder and gaining revenue off of it, or as the collector as the holder gaining secondary revenue off of that NFT.
Subscriptions are different though, right? Like, are subscriptions and rentals kind of synonymous?
Or Charlie, do you want to take this one?
Uh, yeah, I can. Yeah, I'll chime in and then you can bring it home. But Subscription rentals end up sharing like extremely similar traits. So actually, like the property, there is so rentals and subscriptions. There's a Ethereum proposal for each, and they're actually like almost identical for except for one difference, which is a rental after the period that has been set, it will default to like turning off, and and the user of that NFT, so the renter, will be removed from the contract, whereas the subscription is basically default on. But when you think about like what a subscription is, it's basically like a prepayment for a service for various time periods. So you can pretty easily mimic that with a rentable NFT. And I think like again, like each rental implementation. So in the example of subscriptions, we expect them to have a fair bit of like context around it so that it would feel like quite organic. But the base mechanic is shockingly similar and takes like quite little effort to adapt into that use case.
Cool. Thanks for breaking that down. And this is another opportunity. Nikki mentioned it earlier. Decent and CharmVerse are working on an integration so creators can utilize Decent NFTs within their CharmVerse space to token gate access to certain content or offer temporary access via rentable NFTs. So we're really excited to be integrating with you guys. Fantastic team. And like I said, we love what you're doing over there. So hot take on that for our listeners, as it hasn't fully been announced yet. And while we're giving this hot take on the integration, I also wanted to mention that we've been working on decent templates that will be available upon signing in to CharmVerse, which is a great way for creators to just get up and running super fast. So you kind of just have it set up for you, and then you really just need to plug in your images and your own content and be up and running. So we're working on getting that up and running, and I know in theory we should be able to create that template from the Decent website, right?
Totally. Yep. So a lot of exciting news to come on the Decent CharmVerse front, but I think you nailed it and why we're excited about it. Like circling back to the beginning, Decent really provides the tools for creators to build out sort of the groundwork for these ecosystems, but it's applications that CharmVerse that really give those ecosystems a place to convene day to day and get the most value out of it.
Web3, it's all about collaboration. But okay, so it doesn't always have to be about the artist, right? Like you can reward your community. I think one of you mentioned this earlier. So can you explain how allowing holders to stake for token rewards benefits the holders and what that means?
Totally. Yeah, I can kick it off, and then Nikki, maybe you can talk about what we saw with Chill Pill. But yeah, so NFT staking is like a pretty interesting space, and it's definitely not right for every community, but it can be really powerful applied to the right settings. So the most interesting implementation is you think of a community like Pudgy Penguins or something that's reached like some set of like significantly excess demand. Being a Pudgy member is like this very coveted trait. And the Pudgy Penguins ecosystem, though, is now like ready to move beyond just like a base NFT. Like for that community to continue to grow, there's going to need to be like something else to follow. And what we're seeing is like a roadmap that was pretty well established by Yuga Labs and Bored Apes, which is community is going to ultimately need an in community like economy that will have a secondary token to facilitate day-to-day commerce that isn't reliant on the NFT actually at all for transacting value, within this community ecosystem. And NFT staking then becomes like this really nice way to actually then issue that token. So all of the existing holders, for the duration of their membership to the community, will be receiving a token that can be used to get the most out of it day to day, like along a variety of experiences. So that's probably why we're most excited. That token also has a nice ability to expand an NFT community without diluting the NFT supply, which is something that we think is pretty important. But those are probably the why of NFT staking, and Nikki, you can talk about the practical example.
Yeah, so staking is another just really cool way that we're seeing, the what's next after, NFTs are deployed and collections are, interacted with and people are excited. One of the things that we're really trying to solve for at Decent is, helping breathe new life into existing contracts and, making it exciting to be involved with NFTs again. And so one of the ways that I was really excited to see staking be used is a community I was actually part of prior to this being enacted is Chill Pill, and it is a music collective and networking community that really thrives off of collaboration and sticking together and being involved. And so with Chill Pill, we enacted a staking system for their current their 10K collection of chill pill PFPs. And basically, what I did as a holder is I would go to stake.chillrx.io, their site. I would connect my wallet and I would stake my pill. And for every day that my pill is staked and put away, I have not left the community. However, I am earning for still being involved and still being an active member of the community by earning, eight. I think it's like 0.808 or 808, regardless, chill, which is the currency that is then used for me to purchase different things within their, community marketplace that they stood up. So it's just like one of the ways that you can really get, reward your community for sticking around and being involved and, believing in the long-term vision rather than just like the flip value or, the speculative trading. They're staking their, engagement and excitement in the community in order to see benefits for themselves in the future.
Awesome. I love these examples. Like I said, I think it really helps resonate with people. So I have someone requesting to speak. I'm guessing it's a question for you two. Are you open to questions?
Of course.
All right. Let's see. Oh, Art, I'm bringing you up on stage. As soon as you connect, they are connecting. All right. Oh, Art, what's your question for the Decent crew? You're on mute.
Hi, can you hear
Hi.
me?
Great, thanks. What's your question?
Well, I really don't have a question as such, but I know this is my first time of being on this space. So I just want to know what CharmVerse is all about. I've actually been checking through CharmVerse bio and reading through some stuff on the Twitter page to just get to know more about the project and about what CharmVerse stand for. So that was why I came up here just to ask the question, what is CharmVerse all about? So I want to know. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And I don't want to take too much time as I want the focus to be on Decent. But overview is CharmVerse is a Web3 community platform. So we want to help you manage members, coordinate your tasks, facilitate decisions. And, you can sign in with your crypto wallet. You can token gate your workspace. We want to help you onboard people into your space, write proposals, have structured discussions, all of that. It's really, we want to provide an all-in-one tool for your Web3 community. And if you're curious, you should definitely drop into our Discord, and we have our team there, and you can ask us all sorts of questions. I definitely want you to check it out, but I don't want to detract from Decent today, as that's who we're focused on. But if you're interested, my name's Xandra, and definitely drop into our Discord, and you can ping me directly, and I can show you more about CharmVerse.
Okay,
But
thank you.
I very much appreciate you stepping up and asking, and I'm glad that you're curious. Okay, Nikki and Charlie, how long's Decent been around?
Yeah, so Decent's been around for about a year and a half. So we really got started when I have three other co-founders. The four of us went through Y Combinator's winter 2022 cohort, and I would say that was the official launch of our beta platform, and us being a real company.
Nice. Well, congratulations. It seems like you've gotten a lot done.
Thank you. I know
Yeah.
you know what they say about crypto years.
Yes, yes. So you have a toolkit and an interface to further help creators, and I wanted to dive into those a bit more too. So let's start with the Decent protocol, which you describe as a toolkit for artists. What are the artists able to do with this toolkit?
Yeah, absolutely. So the protocol. So just repeating how we described it earlier, the protocol is really our set of smart contracts that enable NFT releases. So, some common release mechanisms include 721 NFTs, which is sort of your base NFT contract. Rentable NFTs, we have this interesting bonding curve mechanism that's come up on this space called Crescendo there that folks can try out. We also have a set of NFT utility wrappers. So those would be things like NFT staking that we just described, and also a wrapper to make NFTs that were not originally rentable able to be rented. And then a set of adapters. So working with partners like Crossmint, et cetera. Crossmint requires a few specific methods in most NFT contracts that about half have, half don't, and you can use our adapters to make so that even if your NFT could not originally use Crossmint, it can now. So at the protocol level, we see a lot of actual developers contributing and building out their custom implementations of some of the things described above. That protocol, though, does power the Decent Creator HQ, which is our no-code studio for really independent creators, artists. We see a lot of musicians in particular releasing their NFTs. And the really cool and exciting part, for us is how those NFTs are integrating and being used within other ecosystems. So, again, to state the original piece, we very, very strongly believe that NFTs are going to shift from being, the thing that is traded, the focal point of activity, to just being puzzle pieces that facilitate, a broader application or experience, either in one application or across many. So some compelling examples there that we've seen musicians use, and actually podcasters as well, interestingly, is they will go to the Creator HQ. They'll create a token gated release. So, you have to have some other NFT in your wallet to be able to mint it. They will deploy it, and then they'll actually integrate it into their own, custom website. Maybe it was produced by, a site called Bonfire that some of you might have heard of that a lot of creators are using. And they'll promote this on Lens, and it's why Lens? So Lens is quite interesting because the entire social graph is comprised of NFTs. So if I follow Nikki, I get an NFT in my wallet that says that I'm following Nikki. And circling back to that token gate piece, folks will use that to enter in the address of their follower NFT, such that you have to actually be following that person on Lens to be able to claim this new NFT. So we see that as a pretty interesting way for creators to grow their CRMs and start to gain addressable wallets. One other point that's kind of interesting is so Decent's deployed across not only Ethereum but also Optimism, Arbitrum, Polygon. We're really seeing this application vision come to life quite a bit faster on the L2s, and each of those applications typically actually reflects the broader ethos of the chain. So on Polygon, for example, a lot of you might be familiar, it's really the business development team that drives a lot of the attention around that ecosystem. So we'll see a lot of brand loyalty or customer engagement tools sort of be the predominant applications on that chain. And I think that that Lens example is a good one. On Arbitrum, they are working quite a bit on gaming. So we're pretty excited about how rentable NFTs and staking could factor into in-game economies. And on Optimism, quite a bit of focus is on identity, which requires its own interesting tool set of anti-Sybil mechanisms, et cetera. And those are, really the types of things that we offer around the NFTs to make them quite practical in whatever use case that you're trying to use them for.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to make you repeat yourself about the Decent protocol. I just want to make sure any latecomers hear the full thing about what you're doing and what you offer. And you read my mind because my next question was going to be about Creator HQ. So thanks for jumping right onto that. Charlie, what were you doing before this, and how did you land in Web3?
Yeah, so actually before Decent, I was working in investment banking. I was doing software M&A, but I had the very fortunate coverage area of music. So I started working with a lot of the companies that particularly independent musicians would use to facilitate their careers. So, companies like DistroKid or Bandcamp, was essentially helping them either raise money or like go through a M&A process. Not those names specifically, but that class of companies, illustratively. And then the other set of companies I ended up working quite a bit with were institutional royalty investors. So, folks like Blackstone or Hypnosis or Shamrock, that were actually investing into artist royalties as a new asset class because it was like it had outperformed the S&P for the last few years, actually last several years, and is an uncorrelated asset. So in times like we are right now in the macro environment, blue chip song royalties are not a bad place to be. And it was really working with those folks and thinking about how you could democratize access to that asset class. Excuse me. That got me thinking about royalty backed NFTs in particular. I'd been into crypto for a little bit longer. So back in college, had written a few, papers on it, but always, mostly in an academic sense. And I would say Decent's really my first proper foray into, building in Web3 and the greater crypto community at large.
Very cool. I always like asking people about kind of their point of entry because, I think people can be a little skeptical or hesitant to get into this world, or they don't know enough. So I think it's important to talk a little about backgrounds. And, some people pop into Web3 out of nowhere, me being one of them.
Totally. And I bet I find that most people have like one very specific memory of like, what triggered the jump.
Yeah.
For me, I think it was like some random like Wall Street Journal headline where I was like, that doesn't really make much sense. And then it's a rabbit hole from there.
Right. And you just, you fall right down it. Nikki, how about you? I'm curious how you landed in Web3.
So my entry into Web3 was purely accidental. I was actually working for a defense contractor up in DC at the time. And I got introduced to a mutual friend from school who went on to start Mint Songs, which was a music NFT marketplace back a couple years ago. And I was, barely even knew about NFTs or, Web3 as a whole. And I got asked to be their community manager. He was like, I know you don't know anything about Web3, but I know you love music and I know you love talking to people. And I think that you could crush this. And so I had literally just set up a MetaMask and a Coinbase and just jumped headfirst right in. And so it's cool to hear, like you said, just like the different ways that people can join in on Web3. Like Charlie had some financial background and like had been reading about it. Meanwhile, I was like, okay, I'm looking at YouTube videos and like I will figure it out and like because I have to. But it's cool that we've both, ended up in, the same space and, being able to just there's different pathways in which people can enter Web3 and there's no just like one strict way in which you can and you can still thrive and succeed and have a really great time regardless of how you come in.
I love that. My point of entry was very similar. It was actually CharmVerse co-founder Alex Poon that brought me into it. Similar thing, just like I need a community manager and I think you'd be great at it and build relationships and talk to people. And it was a scary leap, but I took it and I don't regret it for a single minute. I mean, it's so exciting. It can be overwhelming at times, but you need to take that leap. And it's great. So like I said, listeners, go to those conferences, connect with your Web3 communities near you. People are super friendly and ready to geek out on this stuff. And they're not going to judge you if you're a newbie to the space. Just dip a toe and get into it. It's great. Okay, back to Decent. So can people start using Decent today? Is there a fee? What's the deal? How would someone go about getting started, Nikki?
It is completely free for you to go ahead and start building on Decent. All you need is a wallet, which you would connect to hq.decent.xyz. And you can go ahead and start creating your own smart contract. We have a couple of different options in which you can get started. If you're really unsure of which contract is best for your goals, you can go through our onboarding flow on the HQ, which will connect you to the contracts that we've determined would best fit your needs, judging judging by, you know, the selections that you choose. And then you would just go through and you would fill out the required fields that you would need in order to mint. There is no coding required. I will emphasize that because I am not technical at all whatsoever, yet I'm able to create NFTs and launch my own collections on Decent. So like that's how you know that it's pretty easy. But yeah, and you can just do it in literal minutes, and Decent will generate your own bespoke collection and minting page. And then you would be able to go in and, you know, if you are a little bit more development savvy, can tap into, you know, creating your own custom collection pages through the templates that we have to offer, diving into our SDK and seeing what you can build. It's really, the world is your oyster, and it's free and open for anybody to use. And we're also, we support multiple chains as well. So we support Ethereum, Polygon, Optimism, Arbitrums, and ZK Sync, as well as testnets too. So I'm really making it as open and accessible for everybody to come in, you know, pop around, play around, experiment, build some really cool stuff on any chain that they would like.
Fantastic. Listeners, go start using Decent. If you're a creator, a developer, go start using it. They make it easy. Just go check it out. I also mentioned it earlier, but I wanted to shout out a recent article that Nikki and I co-wrote. It's called NFTs is More Than Digital Collectibles, and you can find it on the Decent Substack. And it tells you a bit more about the integration we're working towards. So definitely go give that a check and check that out. CharmVerse and Decent really want to facilitate a collaborative environment where creators can not only reach their communities, but provide them with a home to connect with each other. So, Charlie, what's next? Has anything come down the pipeline we should know about?
Yeah, so what's up next? So we will be adding a few new contracts to the protocol actually today. So that'll be an 1155 contract that's really designed for Web 2 users in particular. So probably the most interesting feature in there is you can actually price the NFTs in USD. We'll be making some more improvements to the HQ. So we've gotten lots of awesome feedback from creators around ease of use, etc., and the management tools. So we'll have new admin pages coming to the HQ quite soon. And then I would say we have one very cool new project in the works that'll be live this month for the collecting experience. And another that should make actually transacting on L2s, really, really quite exciting. So encourage you all, and hopefully you all will, stay tuned. Probably mid-April, we'll have a lot of the things we're working on out live in the world.
I love it. All right, leaving everyone on the edge of their
The
seat.
The way that Charlie just artfully denied all alpha in that explanation was so masterful. I'm really proud of you.
I love it. I love it. All right, any last shout outs? I'm keeping you guys a little longer than I planned, but any last shout outs to leave the listeners with about Decent?
The last one for me is we're stoked about everything you guys are doing at CharmVerse as well, and really, really hope and excited to see more Decent contracts used. Obviously, not only through the HQ, but actually deployed straight from CharmVerse too. So I think there's going to be lots of cool new initiatives like that where the Decent tech we don't necessarily plan, hope, or aspire to keep all that gate kept on our own platform, and are really, really excited to partner with you all and see how we can help out in your communities too.
Awesome. We are too. I had a meeting with Alex this morning and we were talking about integration, and we're both really excited about it too. So yeah, let's keep our chats going. And listeners, thank you so much for joining us. Decent's mission is to enable creators and developers to own and monetize the work they produce via Web3 applications that leverage NFTs as more than just digital collectibles. Please go check them out. Nikki, Charlie, thank you so much for lending your time to me and joining me. Listeners, follow Decent on Twitter. It's at Decent.xyz. Be sure to follow Nikki and Charlie by clicking on their PFPs. And if you want to go to the Decent website, it's Decent.xyz. Easy as that. Go check them out. Charlie, Nikki, absolute pleasure speaking with you.
Likewise.
Thank you so much for having us.
Of course, of course. Yes, it's been my pleasure. And I hope everyone takes the weekend to sleep and recover from ETH Denver. And Nikki, next time we will meet IRL. I swear, we have to. Listeners,
Absolutely. I won't let us not have that.
no, we failed. We failed that mission. Listeners, thanks for joining us today, and join us next week. We'll be back. Nikki, Charlie, have a fantastic rest of your day, and I look forward to following along the journey of Decent.
Thank you. You too. Hope you all have a great day. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.